Okay, good evening and welcome everybody to the Duluth Community Services District regular meeting of the Board of Directors on this date, December 21st, 2022. This meeting is now called to order and we will begin with our roll call. Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Carol. Here. D'Alessandri.
Here.
Rawson is on vacation and Robin is here. Would you please stand and join me in giving the pledge of allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, beginning with agenda item number B, authorizing on-site and virtual board and committee meetings, consideration and adoption of number 22-22, authorizing on-site and virtual board and committee meetings pursuant to AB 361. Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Okay. All in favor? Bowman?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
D'Alessandri? Roberts? Aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving on. Item C, Board of Directors Annual Reorganization. Consideration of resolution appointing officers, committees for 2022-2023. Mr. Emmons.
Well, it's a non-election year. So with the new procedures that came into effect a few years ago, the board meets the first Friday of December at 12 o'clock noon, which is what you did a year ago, a little past a year. But this is a non-election year. So we fall back to our traditional reorganization of the board at the regular meeting in December. So that time has arrived. We've given you an updated resolution of that, which you passed a little over a year ago, to set forth your officer, set forth your committee assignments. So should you wish to continue for another year, the resolution would be ready to go, but there's nothing that precludes the board from, making any changes they wish at the time, and we'll just amend the resolution as we go. So the matter is before the board.
Okay, so in other words, in terms of 2022 board officers and committee assignments, those will remain the same for 2023. So I would like to make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
D'Alessandri? Roberts? Aye. Unanimously approved. Looking forward to seeing everybody again. Thank you very much. Moving on. Agenda item D, and that will be Deputy Sam Perez.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And happy holidays.
You too.
Take a look at the roads last pay period, last month. This avocado theft that occurred off of El Calamar. That's my via Vaquero, which is kind of bizarre because avocados are mature yet. So picking them does look good because they're not going to mature, so hence you can't eat them. So that's another bizarre for the growers and for my partners around. But they hit like three separate locations. Each location was about 400 pounds of avocados. So yeah, it gets up there. On that token, if you see people selling avocados on the side of the road, don't buy them. That's basically this added to the problem. So at that time at the grocery store, don't buy them on the street because most likely it's a probably stolen from our area or someone locally. We had a package theft that occurred last weekend also. It's the time of the year people are setting up their Amazon, UPS for holidays, Christmas. Because that occurred, I'll be working for Christmas, try to have visibility to deter for package theft. We have the vehicle description and plate. So we followed up with that suspect.
Okay.
That pretty much covers everything. Any questions from the board?
I have one. I noticed this week on Sycamore Mesa, the mail kiosks,
Yes.
that the center one is completely missing, box E. And then there are 3 signs following E in terms of the boxes are inactive because they had been broken into. Had you heard anything? I was surprised when I pulled up to pick up the mail.
Well, actually, I hadn't heard about that. I heard about the ones off of Lewis and California, and also the ones off of Duluth again, and Caracho, and also Los Gatos. I heard about those. Well, hopefully, with if we start installing flock system cameras up in the area, we'll people get more leads on that. With that being said, I might be taking it today. You offered up some cameras for our area. So the amount, I don't know, it's kind of the first come, first served, so I'm gonna try to put some locations then and request
Okay.
for block cameras in our area.
Very good.
I do have something to decide, actually. I received a package today, Amazon package in the mail, and it was empty. And it actually looked like it had been opened, and whatever was in it was taken out. So I'm one less Christmas present. Very distressed by that. But that is true, and I don't know where that happened, but somewhere in the process, and this was delivered to my mailbox. So it's a new approach, I guess, to stealing.
I know I got a package in the mail. It wasn't I think it was UPS, so it was Amazon. And about the box was halfway open. And I'm like, I hope what I was getting is all in there, so it was
Right.
one of those things.
Maybe they looked at it and didn't want it. One other thing, this is the, I think it was last week, I was picking up Rancho California. It was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was just at the bottom of the hill there, beyond where it's wide and where it narrows, okay? And the sheriff's car came whizzing by as the car was coming down and just averted the crash. He may have been, okay, but his lights were not on and his siren wasn't on. So it was a really dangerous thing to do, particularly since there was a car coming down the road. And he didn't miss it by very much. So it surprised me because I didn't see him coming up. I would have pulled over if I'd known, but he didn't have his lights on and he didn't have his siren on. At the top of the hill, I saw that same car stopped in that area there by Avenida Del Oro and Rancho California with his lights on. So I don't know what went on there. I didn't stop to tell him he shouldn't have done it. You can't always know how these deputies can react to being told that, but I didn't think that was a good idea for him to do that.
Okay, I'll speak to you about it afterwards. Get some information on it, because I'm curious now. It's not safe, no matter who it is, whether it's law enforcement or it's public. It's not good practice.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? No. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All righty, moving on slightly through agenda item E, public comments. Isabel, Jessica, no one today? No. Okay, and we'll go ahead and move on to, that's going to be next. Okay, item F is legislative topics. Mr. Simmons, Mr. Evans.
I'd like to introduce one of our attorneys from Sacramento, Cyrus Devers. He's going to give us a presentation tonight. Cyrus, introduce yourself and please, I'm sure you're going to include this, but tell us a little about yourself.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here and to meet you all. Look forward to meeting you in person when you have a chance. The weather kind of kept me up here in Sacramento. The return flight would have been rough, but otherwise I would have been there. So I'm the lobbyist in Sacramento for BB&K, and I've been with BB&K since 2015. Before that, I was a lobbyist in private industry and 10 years legislative staff before that. So I've been around Sacramento almost 30 years. And BB&K brought me in to work on municipal interests and try to bring some of the things I learned working for some of the larger players in Sacramento to try to bring some of those approaches to lobbying to municipal interests. And so that's what I've been doing here at BB&K for a while. So I'm pleased to be representing you now. I think this is going to be interesting and fun. The first thing I was tasked with is to start looking at the recycled waste issue and getting Deleuze an exemption. If you're familiar with the correspondence, I'm sure you are, it kind of feels like we've hit a stone wall, with Cal Recycle. So we are looking at other options, and I've been working on that for about 3 weeks now. Most of that time was research, getting me up to speed, but I've also been having some meetings and talking to some consultants and some staff. And I have to say, so far, it's been very well received. So when we kind of like lay out the facts, it's kind of like, well, clearly you're an entity that was targeted for an exemption by the numbers. You're basically half the size of all the standards, for exemption. So to not get an exemption from the solid waste recycling requirement, well, you guys come out looking pretty good. Let's just put it that way. So that's going to continue. There's a little bit more to do. We're not going to talk too much about what the plans are or what we have coming up, but a little more to do before the legislature comes back on January 4th. And we will continue to work on that. And I'll keep reporting to Jim and keep you all abreast of that. The second thing I got tasked with was to start working on the gas tax issue. So there's, I don't know how much detail you guys have gone into there, but I'm going to be helping out maybe a little behind the scenes up here in Sacramento. We're going to try to make some personal contact with some of the people, or at least a person who might be directly involved, in reviewing, the letter and the request from Deleuze. So I'm currently working on that right now. They're going to make it kind of hard on me. They actually have there's typically a person you call legislative coordinator at every state agency, and state controller happens to have a vacancy right now. So there's nobody really at this time tasked with coordinating on legislative matters and whatnot. That would have been an easy contact for me. So I'm going to keep working on it and hopefully try to find somebody working in there that I went to law school with. That, we have a law school here. It's kind of a feeder into the legislature and the administration. So if I look long enough, I usually find one alumni somewhere I can make a warm contact with. So that's what I've been working on for about the last 30 days. It's going to pause here a little bit between Christmas and New Year's. Sacramento pretty much shuts down. Then it's going to start off with a bang in the new year as the new legislative session kicks into gear. So then it'll be full-time in person, and I'll be in the halls and hit the streets running. So that's kind of what I've been up to. And happy to answer any questions or talk about anything you like.
None at this time.
We discussed some of the more deep details of both of these two items yesterday. We had a conference call. And some of the things he told me we probably shouldn't discuss here in public because there's strategy. And other people can be watching this on our website. So, but I was very, very pleased with some of he mentioned that he had some meetings with legislative staff, and he indicated it was promising. But we went into a little bit more detail, and I was very pleased with some of the details that he gave to us, and so yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction. And they had really worked on this waste recycling issue for a few weeks. I guess I was kind of down, but after talking to Cyrus yesterday, I kind of sprang up and thought, oh, I think we maybe have a chance here. So anyway, so far so good from what I've heard of the details. So, and then as far as this gas tax, we kind of dumped it on him yesterday, but he indicated he's our lobbyist. So if we have issues in Sacramento, he's there to help. And so we talked to him about the stray controller business, which you'll hear a little more about. The members of the board will be reporting on it a little bit later, but he may be able to give us a little help there walking through the letter, which he mentioned, and you're going to probably explain a little more later. And so that could be very helpful, having somebody looking out for our interest as we go through that process with the state agency.
Okay.
And that's what he meant, I believe, by there's usually a legislative or contact in each of the agencies, and that one is vacant. Is that what you were meant, Cyrus? Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so
That just would have been an easy entree.
Okay, so I think I think we're good.
Well, very
So-
good.
Let's just wrap it up. I'll just kind of summarize by saying we're pursuing a strategy that leaves all options on the table. Put it that way. And since I am on board now, and I know you hired me for a couple of specific purposes, but since I'm on board, I'm here working for you. If you come to Sacramento, if you need me to set up meetings for you, if you need anything like that, or if you just have questions about the legislature once we get in session, please feel free to call me. I'm here. I'm yours for all purposes now.
Okay, very good. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you, and definitely we look forward to working with you on both of these items. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item agenda G, which would be for information only. And the following items are intended for that purpose. And they include the financial statements and statements of investment policy. Directors, any comments or questions?
No.
None? Okay, then we'll move on to our next item, which will be H, and that is our consent calendar. Number one is minutes of the November 16th, 2022 regular board meeting. Two, the general fund claims for November 2022. Three is the sheriff's special tax claims for November 2022. Purchase orders, there are none at this time. Any questions, directors?
No.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, Bowman.
Aye.
Carroll.
Aye.
D'Alessandro. Roberts, aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you, everyone. Speaking of the recycle program, agenda I, Mr. Emmons.
You reviewed the ordinance 2205 and passed it to second reading at your November meeting. So here we are. It's time for second reading of this ordinance. I believe there was a more considerable staff report by Attorney Jen, who was with us at that time. We'd be happy to answer any questions if they arise. But now would be the time to conduct second reading and potentially pass ordinance number 2205. The appropriate motion would be to introduce ordinance 2205 for second reading by title only, the further reading be waived, and that ordinance 2205 be adopted.
Okay,
So moved.
second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, Bowman.
Aye.
Carroll.
Aye.
D'Alessandro. Roberts, unanimously approved. Thank you, everyone. Okay, agenda item J, Buena Vista.
All right. Thank you so much. So as you've seen, it's a pretty busy time out there in construction right now. It's exciting times, but busy times definitely. So we have a lot going on, but they put together a little presentation that kind of walks us through exactly what's going on now. So for Buena Vista, if you haven't been out there, we had started work beginning of December. This is just a little introduction. I think we've done this in the past. We actually did these for the San Diego Creek job as well. But this is something that our construction manager, Jason Brown, who was the same construction manager that was on the San Diego Creek job. So and he's done a great job in the past and for Wildan for many years now, and he's doing stuff now. But he puts together these working day statements right here, basically, that just kind of shows what they're doing right here. Basically, that just shows like what they've done this first week, and that was one of this job. It started on December 1st. You know, there were some rain delays, basically. They got the project to clear it up, and then when they started, there was also a little bit of rain. So you can see on there, I know it's a little hard to read right there, but the date for completion they have right now is around, mid-January, but I wouldn't spend too much time on that because they have to add time to contract with all rain delays and anything that comes up, and it's also they're adding in some coordination with Rancho Water to replace that water line, so that'll have a couple of days added to it. So there's still going to be track, but this is what we use to track that time. And every week, Jason will send this out and he copies Jim, and it's kind of an update of where we are for the project and the contract time that is remaining on these projects. So, but as you can see, right now they're just doing clearing grubs, so they're clearing out that channel. As you know, it's a pretty large excavation job, so it's the most literal sense that I've said this phrase. There's a lot of moving pieces out there, so they're right now we're digging everything up. And just seeing what we have out there, what the field conditions are, and trying to get that trench bottom open, which this week, that was their main goal, and I believe they have the trench open now. So if a big storm does come, the bottom of the channel is fully functional now, basically. So we're actually have a much better situation out there. It shouldn't be any further erosion, and they're responsible if something did happen in a rainstorm. But I'll just go on to the next slide.
Before you want,
Yeah.
if you can't read a slide, it's not particularly valuable. And that is just a little too small to read, and it would have been helpful to read it and take a look at it. You could have done 2 slides with that, a top and a bottom, made it a little bit easier to read. I just encourage you to do that. I don't mean that to be critical.
No.
Your work is excellent. We really appreciate it. But I do think that would be more helpful to the board if we're going to put something up that we can actually look at.
No, much appreciated. Definitely taking, and I'll take any feedback on that. So I appreciate that. I'll work on making sure that the text is all there. Just to make sure it's legible basically for everybody. So I apologize for that.
As you can see, most of us are wearing glasses.
I was having trouble reading myself, so I do apologize for that. But I will make sure to highlight the main points. But the main takeaway from that slide, I guess, is just that they're putting together the working days, and but I will get a better display now. Thanks about that.
You're probably going to cover it anyway, but one question, since we met on the engineering committee, there's been additional rainfall. And have we seen any roofing issues? Everything's still intact? And
No, they're doing a great job taking care of everything. They have their BMPs, which are the best management practices. They're all for the CASCA stormwater guidance, and they have all that in place. Our inspector Rod, who you met, I believe, at the committee meeting last week.
Yeah.
He's making sure they have all their stockpiles covered up, and all of their, they have sandbags in place, and all their erosion control measures are doing well. And in theory, because the channel bottom is completely open now and actually what widened out, it's actually better than it was right now. So right now I think it's looking good for that. So hopefully that answers your question. That first one. Okay. So this is the picture of when they first basically started. This is what it's looked like for the past couple of years now. It's just that giant pipe that somehow is still standing there, and then got a giant wall down 20-30 feet down. So they started digging that up, and if you go to the next slide, you can see part of the operations. They've started bringing the excavator out, and then if you go out there now, it's completely trapezoidal, and they have a nice ramp down, and you can get down to the creek bed. They've also set up a water diversion channel that's going to allow them to work in the creek bed and give the time to dry out. So that's what's going on right now, basically. So that's all been set up, and again, they're very early in the process. A lot of clearing and grubbing, which is basically just getting rid of all the tree roots and giving them a workable space right now. So that's basically the main focus of this first couple of weeks now. And then you go to the next slide, Jessica. Here we have as you can see, there's going to be a lot of dirt they're bringing on site. So they just stockpiling everything within the right of way. The good thing is because it's road exposed, they have a better working area. So it makes it easier for construction. And if you go to the next slide, you can go further about kind of some of the BMPs. So obviously when they're stacking up these stockpiles, if a rain comes and they don't have it properly secured, everything will just wash back in and they do all this for nothing. But that's why this is them basically setting up, they're tarping everything up. You can see the sandbags kind of on the side there. They sandbag the bottom. So if anything, when that big storm came, this was perfectly secure. They're not wasting their time redigging up stuff they've already dug out. So, but that's the main part right now. There's not been too much progress of the shiny goods ribbon cutting type stuff where you're going to see pipes down there and head walls. But they're moving on to that. Obviously the holidays are coming now, but into the next week, I believe they're going to start. They already have the pipe on site. So, as you know, with San Diego Creek, that's been a challenge lately. So all the materials are secured and they're good to go. So that's basically, we're just waiting on that. They got the channel bed open, and then next step is going to be just getting these pipes in and
getting that head wall up. So as of now, that's basically the biggest thing to report right now is, the contract is moving. They're doing their work. It seems like they're doing their work correctly right now. We'll just monitor everything, and Raj and Jason out on site, our inspector and our CM, they're doing a great job keeping everybody up to speed on everything. So I think that's my last one for Buena Vista, but maybe go to the next slide. Well, this is gonna be another, this is for the slurry job, and I apologize again for not being too big. I don't wanna move. I don't wanna, yeah.
That's what
But,
it says, that we're almost complete December 30th.
Yeah, I don't wanna move to the next agenda item. Am I okay to proceed with the slurry seal?
Any questions?
One question, yeah, on it,
When is that?
on the job on Sandia Creek where the bridge was replaced, we ended up with an area ahead of the head wall with large rocks there to kind of break the water up and prevent erosion as a result of the any water going through. Is the same design being followed here?
Correct. Same procedure. We call that, the technical term for it would be rip wrap or rock slope protection.
Right.
It's the same thing, and they use, it's caltrans. We call it 2-ton, which is basically the average size of the rock, basically. It's
Right.
the diameter of the rock, but it's the same exact specified rock they're gonna be using out there. It's gonna look very similar. It's basically the
Okay, very
same
good.
template of design with all the caltrans that, it's gonna be that rock slope protection, the caltrans standard head wall, and
Yeah.
the pipe. So it's gonna look very similar, just a little bit deeper down.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, it's pretty much the same theory behind the design, just a little different. So, yes.
Projected completion,
What's that?
projected completion date.
So they're again, that original date was gonna be, mid-January. I know they had at least 3 or 4 days of rain, so it's gonna go into February. And as we keep tracking, of course, we are in the rain season to get more, rain. But, I think we're somewhere in early February right now to say. I can't give an exact date on that because we're still calculating the working days on what they've done. But we'll have a better idea at the end of the month, maybe the invoicing. That's when we really get a good idea of progress and what's going on out there. But again, they're very early in the stage right now, just getting going. So I would say expect it around early mid-February.
Any other questions?
No.
All righty, then we'll go ahead and move on to agenda K, which is the annual pavement rehabilitation.
All right, and based on my last criticism, we can move past this slide. Basically, the main point here is that basically they're near the end of this contract. I'm sure someone's got driven it. It's hard to avoid. It's kind of all over the district right now. They're doing a great job. It's about the specified date for completion now. I think it's been updated to around the end of the year, basically. And this was that.
If you can read the fine
Yeah.
print, it's been, I looked at that Monday. It says
December 30th is that.
as of this time.
Yes, and that was before basically, and I'll get more into the change order, but we did add some additional work, which I'll get into on this next slide here, I believe. All right, so basically, I know in the past couple of meetings, I believe we discussed potential cost savings on the job, basically. And now that we're towards the end of the contract, we can really dig into what we've saved and how we've used the savings and everything. So the original contract amount was around a little over $940,000. We had a cost savings in the field of just above $100,000, and this was involved in basically we adjusted the pavement section based on the field conditions. In the design, we assume a certain field conditions. When they start digging stuff up, they realize it's very rocky. It's a good base material. So they were able to reduce that pavement section, and by reducing that, it had a cost savings involved with it. But not only did they reduce, they were able to reduce that, but they extended the limits of the full repair rather than just slurry to add a better base material. And it's the overall better product, basically, based on these savings they were able to make in the field. So that. With all that work and adjusting that, they're able to do a savings of $102,000, and not only they didn't cut anything out of the job, but they basically extended the limits of the full depth repair. Sorry. But now, because of that, we discussed there was some additional work that we were entertaining of doing on Avenida del Oro, basically, for some areas that were not in the best of shape, and because we were doing right there next to Avenida del Oro, it kind of stands out even more. So with that, we had, a couple meetings with Jim, and just kind of gave the update, and we did discuss this in the committee meeting, that if we did have money in past committee meetings, we would really explore the issue. Because that was already discussed, we kind of said, hey, we have 102,000 here, and we got a bid for the change order, and it was just above $73,000 basically to include that additional area. So we kind of just were able to pull the trigger and just added an additional pavement on Avenue del Oro. It's by Calle Capistrano. It's like a 500-foot section that was in pretty bad shape. So I'm glad we were able to get that added in. So with that, we also had a second change order. I think Steve was mentioning some items that had to be added in. Basically, there was some additional striping improvements but Buenos Campos to Angeles for the detour area, basically, that we didn't touch on the last slurry job. And I don't want to steal Steve's thunder on this too much, but he was able to find that. But it was a small, just over $2,000. And with that savings, we had enough in that cushion to take care of that. So we were able to take care of that. I don't know if Steve has anything he wanted to add on that additional change order. It's pretty simple, just some striping improvements on that. So with that, the anticipated final contract amount is about $916,000. It's about $27,000, but still we have in savings, and that's not even touching the contingency. So not only are we within time, we didn't add any time to the contract, we also are under budget and expend the limits. So that's a very rare thing, especially in these times. So we were able to get the most out of this contract, and I attribute that mostly to our inspector being out there and getting the most out of everything, I guess, and just being able to be flexible in the field. And I will say this, AAS and American Asphalt South have done a great job. They've been willing to work with us. Anytime we see something out there, they even did some extra work throwing sealing on the AC burns just to make them look good. So they're doing a great job out there. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, that everything's going well, and we got more work done under budget. So it's really it's a good thing. So they're anticipated, they're just wrapping everything up now. I think the schedule is on the next slide, Jessica, or at least my map. So all right, so this is the key map that shows basically all the areas with the roadway map. And for the most part, they've done all the work for contract, basically all the slurry work, all the pavement work. That's been finished. The only thing left now, they have a couple is the change order items basically, and that is scheduled. I think they were going to be going out there either the 22nd or 23rd. So they have those dates locked in right now to bring Onyx paving back out there to basically finish up that last change order section. But right now it's looking like that might be the last item. There'll be some striping involved in that as well. So it'll the contract won't end until that striping is improved and accepted basically. So I think we're well on schedule to be there, be done by that December 30th date. So I think everything's looking good. The main thing is all the work for the contract has been done. Now we're just looking at the change order items right now. So I think that'll bring us to the next slide. All right, these are kind of some of the finished improvements we have here. As you can see, this is what I was talking about. We have the AC burn. They ended up adding a little fog seal on the side to make that all look better. And this is, you can see they have the brand new striping. Please keep in mind, this was taken before they did their second coat. So this is just the first coat. They go through, put a first coat down. The second coat has all the reflective material, just, glass beads and the RPMs, the raised pavement markers that are going in basically. So this is, but you can see the fresh slurry right there, the new looking AC burn is right next to there. This is kind of the final product without just one more coat of striping. And if you go to the next slide, I'm just going to show a couple more of the final products. Here you can see this is a good picture because it shows kind of where we stopped the pavement job. Basically, you can see how much newer the pavement looks, and they're just doing, everything looks much better out there now. Contract's going well. So, and next slide, I believe we have. This is just showing the edge lines and kind of another image of all the slurry they've done. So we actually got all the striping in there, and I think there's one more, I believe. And here they went through, they got all the top legends, and again, you can see that join line about how much better the pavement looks in there. But all in all, I'd say that this is shaping up to be a successful project. I guess there's still time left on it, so it's still work being done, but I think we're pretty much near the end right now with basically no issues. So it's been a really good project, and I'm glad that everything's gone so well. So hopefully everyone's been seeing that and had a chance to drive around on these. I'll admit there is one more here. There's a stop ahead legend that they just installed. Just around the curve, and I think that's the last one. All right, yeah. So all in all, it's been a great job, and I think that everything's going well, and should be over by the end of the year.
Right?
And one thing to add, we completed our commitment to the people on the detour. Everything we said we were gonna do is done. So except a little more striping. Yeah, but, those roads are looking good. Far superior to what they looked like before.
prior to, right.
Yeah, and that's what we promised.
And mostly we got rid of all the cars.
Well, yeah.
Very happy about that was in there.
But we didn't, but someone did for us.
Okay, you should think that.
One thing I'd like to add on is we discussed in the committee meeting, probably an important comment. The decision to extend the work where it was extended was because of the mobilization of the equipment into that area, which allowed us to do that at a substantial savings that we wouldn't have had if we had applied that savings to other areas. And so there wasn't, there was a significant reason for choosing that particular area to extend the work. And so we've gotten an awful lot more done than we had expected to be able to do because of those savings.
Correct.
And because of the proximity of this other area to the area we were already working on.
Yes, yeah, I think the change order came in around 72, and I believe they got a bid for that same exact area for just a standalone project, and it was somewhere in the 100K range. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it was a good 30% less, because, and that's because we're already out there and doing all the work, we have all the equipment out there. That's why we talk about the fact that, I mean, have these jobs going on, let's get as much as we can done under these
It
projects.
was 90,000 for bid that we got. First started talking about this back in the summer, I think. If you just want to know what we were talking about, 90,000, and it was only one lane.
Yeah.
This is 73,000 both lanes. So it was just, but again, they were already there. It's extra work for them, but they're in to lose. So it really, I'm surprised that it worked as well as it did. But it's substantial. The way the numbers all came out. It's been one of our best jobs this month.
Yeah.
I know all these contractors, but it's just really gone very smoothly. And then things like this popped up, and then Raj, we've never worked with Raj before, but he is one good inspector. He's the one who thought that about the base, because I remember he came in here and was all excited and telling me this, but it's come together very nicely. Still have one more month to go.
Yes.
Well done. Excellent
Good.
job. At least when I'm driving down my driveway and heading out Lecter, right?
Yeah, that's good, I mean, that's good, that's what we hope for, a little wins.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item L, traffic matters, Mr. Stewie.
Okay. Short report tonight. I took all my stuff, so. Next slide. So as you know, we've been doing the update of the road study that we were doing. And last week was Duluth. And just some basics, you guys are all pretty familiar with all this, but this is what Duluth Road looks like, just beyond our limits, and just within our limits. And so we looked at all those things and what all could be done. But again, this road is, next slide, not under our jurisdiction. So these are just suggestions that we can make to the county and stuff like that. But that's the dirt section that's outside. The way the embankment looks like, the reflectivity, things like that. Next slide. So we'll be coming back to you in your next meeting with some more definitive type options and stuff like that. Now that we've gone through 5 roads, we can come and say which of the ones maybe that we pick on first and that kind of stuff. And so we'll run that through the engineering committee and then bring it back to you guys. Next slide. During the last month, I did a complete drive around of all 86 miles of those district streets, front and back, both directions. So we identified all the issues that we could think of, that were there, any sort of missing signs or raised pavement markers missing, your hydrants you can't find, or
trash, weeds, shoulders, whatever it was that along our roads. Gave TJ a really nice list of over 100 items. But that sounds like a lot, but then you say, wait, that's 100 items for 86 miles, well, 172 lanes, 172 lanes with only 100 items. It's like only one item every mile and a half, almost 2 miles. That's not bad at all. That shows he's keeping your roads in good conditions. And he's probably got, if you ask him today, probably got 90% of those or more done already. So
Yeah.
It's good teamwork here. And next slide. While we're out, just the other kind of stuff we catch, eventually it's got a water leak and that kind of stuff like that. Next slide. Another water leak they repaired, but now they have to come back and get the doggone leaks out of there and get it paid. So we're keeping on top of that. Next slide. This is an example of Raj and Jason, our construction management inspection team. This is what was happened at Buenos Vista, like day one. Contractor moved maybe some barricades and put up his outhouse and everything like that, right? And called Jason. I said, hey, be sure they put the road closed signs back up because we don't want them to go buzzing down. So an hour later, next slide. There's what it looks like. So they're just right on top of it. There you go. So I wanted to show you this. This is he gave you some nice pretty pictures during the daytime of the roads, but that's that same road when it gets a little bit wet. And as you can kind of see, the lines just kind of disappear. Okay, and so it's okay in the daytime, but without the raised pavement markers, you can see the guidance there. The little bit of water over it covers that paint, and that's kind of the view you get. And that's in the daytime. That's not at nighttime. It's a little worse at nighttime. Now, next slide. That's your new road, and that's what you get. Raised pavement markers and bright lines and everything like that. So much more positive guidance. So those little buttons make a big difference, for daytime and nighttime both to keep you at that mark. So and that's my report.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Hey, Jim, you think that we should negotiate with the county to take over Duluth and tell them how much it would cost them for us to do that?
Moving on. Agenda item M, road maintenance and field crew report, Mr. Castle.
Thank you.
So this tree was on Cali Capistrano. As you can see in the first picture on the left over here, it was growing pretty much awkwardly, just right in front of that stop sign. And really tell there's even a stop sign there. So we went ahead and just chopped it up and got it out of the way, so that way now people can see the stop sign coming down. This is on Cali Capistrano, right at the corner of Rancho Cal. And then this was on Avenida del Oro towards the end of the golf course on the rain we had, I believe it was last week. This tree was already starting to fall down and come into the roadway, and it was just holding itself on one of its limbs. So we might as well just take care of it. No point in waiting until it actually fell down. So we chopped this one up, got it out of the way so traffic can just flow smoothly. And then this was we built up a curb on Sycamore Mesa. So when rain comes, in the middle picture, or I'm sorry, in the first picture, there's actually, as you can see, there's not really a curb there. This was flat. So all the water would just rush into that, the dirt over there, and then just flow mud down the hill a little bit into people's driveways and then onto the street. So we actually came up with the idea to use some of the temporary asphalt bags that we have at the yard and build up, basically match the existing curb. And so we did that, and now that last rain that we just had, we went back and checked, and now it's just going perfectly down the road, how it should be, not going into the dirt at all, so no mud is tracking all over the place, so. And again, from the rain, washed some mud off the hill up there and into this, little, dip crossing here, so we got all that mud cleared out of there, and now it's beautiful, you can actually see the little bit of the stop bar right there. And this was on front of the court, there was a graffiti, might be a little bit hard to tell in the pictures, but there is some white graffiti on the curbing up there, so we went ahead and basically matched the black asphalt color, and just spray painted over it, so that way it's not ugly and from all the kids that go up there and tag it up, so made it look better. Yeah, all the people go up there and do racing and stuff, but that was it for me, so.
Thank you.
Respect these.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And, agenda item M, committee reports, engineering committee report. Mr. Bowman.
Yes, the engineering committee met on Tuesday, December the 13th. We have the advantage of the presentations that you've seen here in the last few minutes of having a more updated version at the regular meeting than we do actually at the committee meeting, but we review all of that as you've seen it here. And then, of course, there's been updates over the last week in the presentations that you've just seen. So I don't want to be redundant and go back over those. You've seen the more recent information, but there was actually a comment made that Jim had. I think we're going to see more of that in the future, but regarding some of the zoning, state zoning comments or comments to the new state zoning. We'll see that coming up in the future. Just wanted to mention that that will be coming along a little later. So that's basically our report.
Okay, thank you very much. Finance committee.
Thank you very much. We met yesterday. And you've already seen the general fund and sheriff claims. We already looked at the LAIF investment statement as well. However, I'd like to point out that it's approaching 2%. And looks like it might get to be a little bit higher. Mr. Emmons brought up the issue of treasury notes. And the current rate of treasury notes is about 4% convention. And the committee thought it would be a good idea to take a look at putting some of our funds in treasury notes, politically short term. And I think he was going to look into that, and Therese was going to look into that. Obviously, we have to be concerned about making sure that there are enough funds we can access for daily and emergency use. But I think there's a possibility that we could increase our return substantially by looking at investing T-bonds, T-notes. I think that's a very positive thing, and I thank you for bringing that up. The other thing we looked at was we just received $316,000 from FEMA, the Via Vaccaro, and we're still waiting for Sandy Creek to be approved, and we will hopefully receive that in the not too distant future. So that was something that was looked forward to, and very happy to see. Teresa, do you know what the total amount is from FEMA now?
Received,
Yes.
I think if you include the 316, we're at like 1.7 million.
Yeah, I thought it was 1.6.
Yeah, it's right around there.
Good, thank you.
Mhm.
The other thing that we talked about with the auditors, they have all the information. And there are reconciliations that need to be made on accounts. And we're going to be required to hire an accountant to come and do that reconciliation. It should not be expensive. It's a day or two work. And with that, we've been assured that at the February board meeting, we will be presenting the audited financials. I think that's the significant things that we covered in the meeting. Do you have anything else?
No, those were the things that I had gotten to.
So that's my report.
Thank you very much. Legislative Committee Report, SB 415. The committee and our legal council, we met on December the 7th in preparation of our upcoming meeting that we were going to have with Jeffries and the county staff, of which we did. We met on December the 9th. And so it was obviously Jim, myself, Robert, Ward, and Ryan, and Jeffries and his county staff members. There were 3 of them at that particular meeting. And as we speak today, there still are 2, 3 remaining areas that need further discussion and follow up on. I've had some brief conversations with Jim as well as just recently with Robert here. We are waiting to receive a letter from Ryan. He was going to work on that. So would like to find out or follow up on that in terms of what the status is. And what we've decided to do is Jeffries did indicate that we can meet with him. At least that was my interpretation, in the middle of January. And my interpretation includes that to be primarily the CSD staff members here in terms of the committee, legal counsel, for example. And we will be able to tie up these loose ends. At that particular meeting, I did state to Supervisor Jeffries that we were hoping to have this wrapped up and moved along in February. We're still hoping for that because we do have a target date, of May the 1st of 2023 in terms of this subject matter. So we're continuing to have dialogue. I'm anticipating that January meeting, hopefully in the middle of January. I've given Jim, we've got 3 dates that we're looking at. And so hopefully within the next few days, I know we have holidays and so forth, but within the next few days, I'm hoping to lock in that date. Time is precious. We're already at year end, believe it or not. 2 more weeks, we're going to be already in 2023, and January is going to go just like that. So I believe that, anything else, Robert?
No, that's very good.
Okay, Jen, any comments? Nothing?
I'd just like to clarify my comment about the Deuce Road.
Okay, please do.
Okay, we will, the county offered to take over Syndic Creek. This is not the first time they've suggested that. And in the past, they suggested we negotiate that and we would have to pay them to do that. Of course, we said, no, that's ridiculous. And when you compare the roads that we maintain in Duluth, that's why I said maybe we should take over Duluth Road and figure out how much we should charge.
Yes. Well, after all this time, almost 5 years, we still have a sense of humor.
I'm losing that.
No, please don't do that.
That's an interesting concept, right? Reverse it out.
That's right.
Give us the gas tax, we'll take the roads.
Okay, no strategy right now. We'll say that. Okay. Okay, that covers the legislative committee report. And so we'll move on now in terms of the general manager's report. Mr. Evans.
I think everything I'm working on has been covered in one form or another tonight. I just wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. The one thing I did note today were the stockings outside. There's, including mine, there's 7 stockings. And for the whole time I've been here, this is the only period of time where we have been fully staffed. So our field operation 3, because when I came, there were people on disability and just one has never seen that we had 3 people in the field at any given time. There just weren't that many people, and then our staff. And so, yeah, I think everything's internally here, everything's rocking along good. So I think we end the new year or this year in great shape.
Very good. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item P, legal counsel matters, Mr. Simmons.
A meeting in closed session here in a few minutes to talk about the case that has gotten started. But in the meantime, I did want to just briefly update you on the winery project. We did do some investigation, called the planner in San Diego County, and found out that they basically have put the project on hold. They haven't received a full application yet from the developer. And they're saying it's not even practically 30% complete, and they can't really do anything until they receive 100% completed application. So this is certainly nothing going to be happening in 2022, and probably no meaningful action to take place for several more months.
So I think we should keep an eye on that
Yes.
because these things can move very quickly. And they could move without our knowledge. So I think we need to keep an eye on that.
That's all I've got.
Agenda item, merit incentives.
Yes.
Robert.
Thank you very much. For those of you new to the board, we undertook this merit incentive program a couple of years ago. And it was designed to give employees an opportunity to kind of move off in a slightly different direction and bring value to the CSD as well. And the concept of it was that they were to discuss a project with Jim, and that project would be approved by him as something worthwhile. So the first criteria for this is that it's a worthwhile project. Okay. The next criteria for this is that the project is either totally completed or mostly completed. And then the third criteria for this is that the project brings value. Now, in the past, we've had projects that brought value in terms of dollars and cents. You could say, they repaired the road, we saved X number of dollars. The other projects, and some of these are included in these reports, brings the same kind of value, but they may not be so easily defined in terms of dollars. And some of these projects prevent us from spending more money. So I think it's very important to look at that. You have the reports in front of you from Jessica Richards and from Teresa Snyder and what they've done. The committee evaluated this and felt that these were meaningful, that these were timely and almost all completed or mostly completed, and that they brought value to the organization. And so we were very happy to have this reported to us, and then to make the determination that they would. And, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the maximum on this incentive program is 5%. So last year, Jessica received 3%. This year, we thought that she'd done a wonderful job and wanted to increase that to 4%. And last year, Teresa, working with FEMA, and this year working with FEMA, was awarded 5%. We continued that to 5%. So those would be the awards that we would like to mention, and I would make that a motion to approve.
Second.
I was going to ask any questions, board members. Okay, very good. Okay, and Mr. Bowman, you second. Okay, all in favor, Bowman?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Alessandri?
Aye.
Roberts, aye.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I would like to make a comment being at the end of the first year along with Paula. I've been very impressed with the quality of work that's going on here in the district. And whether it's the work on the financial side or the roads, or just improving the quality of life for people in the district. And certainly I want to send my appreciation to the staff. I'm sure the board in general feels the same. So thank you all very much for some very hard work, and it shows.
Yes, definitely. And if I can add to that, the CSD employees, obviously Teresa, Isabel, Jessica, TJ, Nick, Wyatt, but I also want to mention the support staff members that we have here, Steve, Ron, and of course our legal counsel, Ward. Joanna has been with us a good portion of the year. Ryan is a new member. But all of these individuals, including the general manager with his coordination and leadership, are the backbone of the CSD. And so on behalf of the board and also the Duluth community, we thank you all.
Yes.
We've had a really good year. And I know I used to sit on the other side of this table, a little while ago, and it's 3 years this month in terms of being the CSD. So definitely a lot of changes, a lot of very good, wonderful changes, and a lot of good feedback out there in the community. And we couldn't do it without a good, solid team. And so again, on behalf of the board, on behalf of the residents, we thank each and every one of you very much. Oh, yes. Sam. Sam. Oh, Sam. Let me talk about Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam, let me tell you, the community would be up in arms, literally, if we ever lose him. If he's not on the top of that hill, let me tell you, he's out there, he knows when we're on vacation, he knows what's going on in the community, and he is part of the community. He is a resident of the Duluth community. And we thank you, and we really appreciate everything that you do, and all your other partners. Tell them thank you very much, okay?
So any plans for retirement just went down.
Yeah.
You heard it tonight.
How come you go? How's that?
Okay, this is recorded, young man.
1 month shy in Jim.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So remember now, Sam, this has been recorded, so.
Oh.
We have you, we have on video. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, agenda R, we're gonna go into closed session here with legal counsel in terms of some anticipated litigation. So if I can ask our guests to leave the conference room, and when we reconvene, you're welcome to come back. And so at this time, we are doing a closed session.
We won't eat up all the way.
No other questions? Okay. Okay, the board is now going to reconvene into its open session. Open up the doors.
No report out. No action to report.
Okay.
Okay, we're back.
This is coming back in.
Had a good chance.
It's very quick.
Okay, but definitely before we adjourn, of course, everybody have a really good and happy holiday and a good New Year gathering if you're having one. And be safe and stay healthy, everyone. Please stay healthy, yes.
Anyone traveling, be careful.
Yes, okay, this completes the Duluth Community Services District regular meeting of the Board of Directors. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, this adjourned.